baya dan daga na kina
National Economic Council to fast-track palliative programs. Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi inaugurates committee to review pension scheme. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni tests positive for COVID-19. Today is Thursday, 19th of Zulhijjah, 1444 after the hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is equivalent to 8th of June 2023 and Khadija Muhammad 1904. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed the National Economic Council, led by Vice President Kashim Shettima, to begin the process of working on interventions to cushion the impact of subsidy removal on Nigerians. This is even as the independent major oil marketers have pledged to donate no fewer than 100 high-capacity buses to the federal government for mass transit operations. The cheering news was dropped by the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, who led the representatives of some major oil marketers on a courtesy visit to President Bola Tinubu yesterday at the presidential villa Abuja. Addressing State House correspondents after the closed-door meeting, Governor Dapo Abiodun said the marketers were in the presidential villa to express solidarity with the president for his bold decision to end the subsidy regime. He noted that Bola Tinubu's action showed his determination and courage to remove the hemorrhage that had bedeviled the country for decades. The president of the Senate, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, yesterday announced that the Senate has rescheduled its valedictory session from today to Saturday, June 10th. The Senate president told members of the Senate press corps that the shift in the date was due to a scheduled meeting today of President Bola Tinubu with the lawmakers of the incoming 10th National Assembly. Ahmed Lawan also hinted that the 10th Senate will be inaugurated on Tuesday, June 13th. Meanwhile, the 9th House of Representatives yesterday wound down. The chairman, House Committee on Rules and Businesses, Abubakar Hassan Fulata of APC from Jigawa State, stated this at the valedictory session. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Bajami Amida, and other members who spoke rated the performance of the 9th House very high. The chairman, Independent and Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonemi, has described corruption as a dream killer. That must be fought to a standstill by the youth. The chairman, represented by Alugoni Bujaba, board member ICPC, said this yesterday in Abuja at the maiden edition of the Commission's Interschool's debate for tertiary institutions in the Federal Capital Territory and Nasarawa State. The ICPC boss described the youth as the leaders of tomorrow who needed to fight corruption with great rigor for them to achieve the desired goal. In a speech, the chairman of Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, Abdulrashid Bawa, charged the youth to contribute their quota towards a Nigeria free of economic and financial crimes. Abdulrashid Bawa, represented by Chidimma Amanambu, Assistant Commander, EFCC, charged them to contribute their quota towards ending bribery and corruption. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has announced a policy that will require Nigerian pilgrims in Medina to be moved to Mecca after 5 days they arrive in the city for the Hajj pilgrimage. The Commission's Deputy Director of Information, Musa Obandawaki, in a statement yesterday said the rule, which will take effect from today, was due to complaint of overcrowding of Nigerian pilgrims in the city of Medina. Musa Obandawaki stated that while the Commission is giving 100% opportunity for Nigerian pilgrims to visit Medina in the first phase or before Arafat, the move was to avert sanctions against the country if there are pilgrims overcrowding in Medina. He stated that the policy was to avoid being penalized for airlifting more pilgrims into Medina than the available accommodation, or being forced to take the pilgrims to another area which is well below the standard of the current Merkaziyya. He called for the understanding and support of the pilgrims, Hajj officials, and other stakeholders for the successful implementation of the policy. Jigawa State Governor Malam Umar Namadi has inaugurated a 32-member committee to review and appraise the Jigawa State and Local Government Contributory Pension Scheme Board. Inaugurating the committee, Malam Umar Namadi said members of the committee were selected based on competency, dedication, and personal integration. Represented by the Deputy Governor, Engineer Aminu Usman, the governor said government is confident that members of the committee will discharge their responsibilities diligently. Part of the terms and reference of the committee is to look into the position of the current pension fund status, its survival or otherwise, recommend a remedy to represent challenges of the funds, among others. Responding, the chairman of the committee and former head of civil service, Mustafa Aminu, assured the governor that they will justify the confidence reposed on them. You are listening to the news from the studio of Sawaba. Stay tuned for the rest. The Speaker, Katsina State House of Assembly, Honorable Tasiu Maigari, yesterday announced the dissolution of the 7th Assembly. Tasiu Maigari, who made the announcement shortly after delivering his valedictory speech, described members of the 7th Assembly as one of the best ever produced in the state. The Speaker also commended the immediate past Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari for his fatherly support, advice, and cooperation to the 7th Assembly. Tasiu Maigari has disclosed that a total of 54 bills were passed in the last 4 years by members of the 7th Assembly. He further noted that about 324 motions were also passed and the executive were able to implement only 74 out of them. Some of the bills passed as disclosed by the Speaker include Katsina State House of Assembly Commission Law, Discrimination Law Against Persons with Disability, Law Promoting Children Access to Basic Education and Connected Matters, the Revenue Harmonization Law, among others. The Edo State government has increased the minimum wage for workers in the state from 30,000 to 40,000 naira. This was confirmed in a statement released yesterday by Governor Godwin Obaseki. The Edo State governor also announced the reduction of working days from 5 to 3 as residents continue to battle with the effect of the petrol subsidy removal. He assured that his administration will stand with workers in this very challenging time. Governor Godwin Obaseki also said his administration will do all within its powers to ameliorate the sufferings of residents. The United Kingdom's Department of Health and Social Care has committed to strengthening Nigeria's health workforce with a grant worth £2 million, equivalent of over 1 billion naira. The World Health Organization, WHO, which disclosed this in a statement yesterday, held the new funding commitment. The statement said the grant will cover a 2-year period to support the government of Nigeria to optimize the performance, quality, and impact of health workforce through evidence-informed policies and strategies. WHO representative in Nigeria, Dr. Walter Kazadi Mulumbo, said the strength of every health system reflects the capacity and adequacy of its health workforce, which are necessary to deliver quality services to address population health needs. Implementation at subnational levels with a focus on 6 states of Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna, Cross River, Enugu, and Lagos will build on presence and technical support being provided to state government through the 37 WHO subnational offices in Nigeria. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has said he has contracted COVID-19 after one of 3 tests conducted on him turned out positive. Yoweri Museveni, who gave a State of the Nation of the address earlier yesterday, said he had developed a slight cold prompting him to get tested. The permanent secretary at the Health Ministry, Diana Atwin, said the president had developed mild flu-like symptoms but was in good health and would continue his duties. She said the president will adhere to standard operating procedures for COVID cases While performing his role, Uganda had some of the strictest measures in Africa to limit the spread of the virus at the height of the pandemic, including long curfews and closure of schools and businesses. The country fully reopened in February 2022. Iran has reopened its embassy in Saudi Arabia 7 years after the regional rivals severed diplomatic ties. Representatives of the Iranian and Saudi foreign ministries attended the ceremony in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. Iran's deputy foreign minister, Ireza Bikhteli, said it was a sign that cooperation was entering a new era. It comes 3 months after the Gulf countries agreed to restore ties in a deal brokered by China. Saudi Arabia cut ties with Iran in 2016 following the storming of its embassy in Tehran, the capital of Iran, by crowds protesting against the kingdom's execution of a prominent Shia Muslim cleric. At a meeting with his Saudi counterpart, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud in South Africa last Friday, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian expressed his satisfaction with the progress made in bilateral ties. This is the end of the news, but before I go, major recap of the story. You had President Bola Tinubu direct National Economic Council to fast-track palliative programs. Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi inaugurates committee to review pension scheme. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni tests positive for COVID-19. On behalf of the head of news department Salamatu Niman, our editor Kabiru Musa Ringim, our continuity announcer Halima Hassan Ibrahim, I am Khadija Nulamin Eleman saying thanks for listening.